everyone, and welcome to this edition of Storytime. Today, Jocelyn and I are having a little tea party with ladybugs on our tea set. And there's a reason for that. Let me make Jocelyn her tea real quick, and then I will explain. Today's feature story comes as a recommendation from me and Jocelyn's PDCD family. Now, what PDCD stands for is pyruvate dehydrogenase complex deficiency. And that is what Jocelyn's primary diagnosis is. It's a genetic disorder, a mitochondrial disease, and it can get a little headache trying to figure out what that is. So if you want to research it, that's fine. But that is what Jocelyn was born with, and it led to other illnesses that she may have. So here's your tea. There you go. And some cake. Now, Jocelyn and I like to be very imaginative. And we like to play, don't we, mamas? All the time. So, now the reason we were having a little tea party with our ladybug set, isn't that cute? Is today's feature story is The Gift of the Ladybug. Now I'm going to try to get through this story if I can, because it makes me cry. So this is our little friend that Jocelyn and I play with a lot, our ladybug. And now we have multiple ladybugs in the house. Jocelyn has another ladybug that has little tiny baby ladybugs inside its belly. And then we also have our ball ladybug. So we're all about the ladybugs today. And today's story is not very long, so we're going to add a poem today at the end. So let's begin. The Gift of the Ladybug. Written by Carol M. Ember and illustrated by Evi Shelvia. In a quaint village with cobblestone streets, charming shops, and glowing homes, there lived two horses that were very much in love. One day, the horses dreamed of having a baby coat. As luck would have it, a year later, they were blessed with a beautiful baby boy. Aww. They were so blinded by being in love with their baby boy that they didn't notice he was much smaller than the other baby coats. They were so enamored with his red body with black polka dots that it never occurred to them that horses don't have red bodies with black polka dots. In fact, it wasn't until they took him to the doctor that they learned he wasn't a horse at all. He was a handsome little ladybug. So the horses named the boy Polka Dot and celebrated his ladybug qualities. His bright and bold colors, his exquisite wings, and most of all, his lovely ladybug personality. But after a while, the horses realized that they didn't know how to care for a ladybug. So they took Polka Dot back to the doctor to learn everything there was to know about ladybugs. The horses learned that unlike hay, grass, and grain, ladybugs eat other bugs. Yuck! Ugh. The horses learned that instead of trotting and galloping, ladybugs fly. And the horses learned that unlike their own big, strong bodies, ladybugs' bodies stay tiny and delicate. And then the horses were given the most difficult news of all. They learned that unlike their long and hard-working lives, ladybugs live short but sweet lives. After learning all about ladybugs, the horses cried and cried. They cried because their ladybug would never taste sweet hay or steak or cake or fresh grass. I added those two in there because those are some of my favorites. They cried because their ladybug would never trot in the sun or gallop through the fields or walk, but God will in heaven. And most of all, they cried because their ladybug would never live as long as they would. My daughter's going to live forever. Maybe not here on earth, but she will live forever. Polka Dot was confused. "Please don't cry," he said. Polka Dot couldn't figure out why the horses were so sad. The horses just kept crying. Just like Jocelyn probably doesn't know why she's different from everybody else. But she's still special in God's eyes. "But I love eating bugs and I love to fly," Polka Dot said. "And I don't know how to be a horse, I only know how to be a ladybug." Just like Jocelyn only knows how to be her. The horses realized that Polka Dot was right. They realized that it was okay for Polka Dot to be a ladybug and that he would never be a horse. Being a ladybug was wonderful too. And then they realized the most beautiful thing of all. Polka Dot was meant to be a ladybug. And he was happy. At that moment, the horses' tears turned from sad tears into happy tears. They knew that they had been given a miracle. They were two horses that were blessed with the most special ladybug that had ever lived. Just like Jocelyn's, my special ladybug. For the rest of Polka Dot's sweet life, the horses cherished the fact that he was a ladybug. They slowed down their hard-working ways, perfected countless bugalicious recipes. They sang and danced and played with Polka Dot. They even caught a glimpse of what it was like to fly. And for the rest of the time, the horses treasured all of the lessons that their wise polka dot taught them and rejoiced in the gift of the ladybug. Now, this story was written for a special little boy that had a special illness and he didn't grow, just like Jocelyn. But we learned that God's gifts are always precious, just like Jocelyn and all those special needs children and adults out there. All right, that was the end of the gift of the ladybug. So I thought I'd add a poem in this week, if y'all are okay with that. And it's from Jocelyn's collection by Shel Silverstein. And it's going to teach some of the little older than kids, from probably about 5, depending, about why it's important when your parents tell you to take the trash out. It's been one of my favorites for a long time. So we're going to be reading from Jocelyn's collection of Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. And we're going to be reading the poem, Sarah Symphony. I can never say it. It's like a tongue twister. Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout would not take the garbage out. Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout would not take the garbage out. She scorned the pots and scraped the pans, candied the yams and spiced the hams. And though her daddy would scream and shout, she simply would not take the garbage out. So it piled up to the ceilings. Coffee grounds and potato peelings, bananas and rotten peas, chunks of sour cottage cheese. Ugh. It filled the can, it covered the floor, it cracked the window and blocked the door with bacon rinds and chicken bones, drippy ends of ice cream cones. Prune pits, peach pits, orange peel, gloppy glumps of cold oatmeal. Ugh. Pizza crusts and withered greens, soggy beans and tangerines, crust of black burned buttered toast, gristly bits of beefy roasts. The garbage rolled on down the hall. It raised the roof. It broke the wall. Greasy napkins, cookie crumbs, globs of gooey bubble gum. Ugh. Cellophane from green bologna, rubbery macaroni, peanut butter caked and dried, curd milk and crusts of pie, moldy melons, dried up mustard, eggshells mixed with lemon custard, cold French fries and rancid meat, yellow lumps of cream of wheat. At last the garbage reached so high that finally it touched the sky. And all the neighbors moved away. Ugh. I know, that stinks. And none of her friends would come to play. And finally, Sarah Cynthia Stout said, "Okay, I'll take the garbage out." But then, of course, it was too late. The garbage reached across the states, from New York to the Golden Gate, and there in the garbage she did hate. Poor Sarah met an awful fate that I cannot right now relate, because the hour is much too late. But children, remember, Sarah Stout, and always take the garbage out. So, parents, tell them kids, take that garbage out. Jocelyn would take the garbage out if she could, right? No? Oh, well, that's okay. I do it. Thank you for joining us this week for Storytime with Jocelyn. I hope you enjoyed the story. about the gift of the ladybug and the poem that we read by Shel Silverstein today. We will see you next week for Storytime with Jocelyn. Remember to like this video, share, subscribe to our channel, and also ring that bell so you'll be notified when we post a new video. And just remember, out there, for all those kids that don't want to do the chores, remember about what Sarah Stout happened. So, from Jocelyn and I, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.